New pitcher for the Texas Orange team is the 6'3" right-hander out of the Show Me State, Missouri, Adam Jelovic from Town and Country, Missouri. Attends Parkway West High School. 6'3", 215 pounds. Bottom of the third, no score. Texas Orange taking on Vegas Gold in the 18th and final game of the 2012 Perfect Game National Showcase. Patrick Ebert up in the booth with us here for this game. Now, Patrick, you write the daily recap every day, and so you've gotten to highlight a lot of players throughout their performance here at the National Showcase. Who's the guy that stood out to you thus far, but you haven't had a chance to work him into the stories yet? Haven't, kind of want to give that publicity, give that exposure to that player that's shown well for you, but hasn't quite gotten the ink yet.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I could probably spend a couple innings just talking about players that have really stood out to me. That haven't yet made an impression in the game, at least maybe not statistically, but they've certainly stood out.
And Sevier Romo, the leadoff batter for Vegas Gold this inning, fouls that one back into the seats at 88 miles an hour. Sevier Romo out of El Dorado High School in Placentia, California. Teammate of a player that, Patrick, you got to talk quite a bit about, in Chris Rivera. Breaking ball low, lifts it into shallow right field, and ranging over is Ghost K. Cateau. Showed a lot of range getting to that ball on the right field foul line.
Cateau is a guy that I haven't really written much about, aside from that pretty impressive double play that he started yesterday, where he just flipped the ball out of his glove to the shortstop. I know Todd, that you've spoken pretty highly of him too. I think he's opened a lot of eyes at this event. What he's done at the plate with the bat, and he's just a ball player. He's fun to watch, again, he's another very talented member of this Texas Orange squad.
Anthony Perez, the catcher, stepping to the plate. Watching Cateau, Patrick, this spring, I remember, I always like to look at the on-deck batter when there's a little bit of time between pitches and kind of get a feel for how they approach their at-bat. And I remember looking over at one of his high school games. He was about 5 or 6 batters away from coming to the plate, so likely not going to come up. There was 2 outs. And I see behind the on-deck batter, I see Cateau standing there with his batting helmet on, batting gloves on, and his bat in hand ready to hit. Just that kind of player.
Yeah, we talked about this quite a bit down a level below in the press box, just about players wanting to play, wanting to be here, and that desire. And that desire is really what fuels them for the rest of their career.
2-0 count to Perez.
When we talked to Dominic Smith the other day, he mentioned several times that he's like, just keep this event going. Add 2-3 weeks. Let's do it the whole summer. And it was a very enlightening conversation that I had with him. It's just he wants to play baseball. That makes you believe that he's going to be one of those guys that succeeds.
Fastball catches the inside part of the plate there, moves the count to 3 balls and 1 strike.
You mentioned Chris Rivera before too. I mean, it's hard not to notice his overall talent, both at the plate, on the mound, on the field, and he's been a pleasure to watch.
Ball back to the screen. Count moves full with 1 out here in the bottom of the third. And I've also been talking to some scouts that have seen Chris Rivera behind the plate as a catcher, and he's one of those guys that can just do it all.
Yeah, and the thing that stood out to me is he's gained a lot of strength. You can tell he's working hard on his body. When we saw him in Jupiter last year, he was more of the...
And this one's hit sharply to shortstop. Up with it, throws over to first for the 2nd out of the inning.
He kind of had more like that thin and rangy shortstop build with long, wired, strong, limbs, and he's kind of turning more into like that modern day shortstop where he's got some bulk to him.
And that was the shortstop Connor Hetty making that play. And that'll bring to the plate Timmy Richards, another shortstop out of Long Beach Wilson High School in Long Beach, California.
When you asked about players that haven't made the recap, I don't think Austin Meadows has been included. Jeff Don did do a player feature on Meadows. He's another guy kind of like Clint Frazier. When the ball jumps off his bat, it looks and sounds a little bit different than a lot of other people.
Called strike there at 89 miles an hour. 1 ball, 1 strike here to the Cal State Fullerton commit, Timmy Richards.
And the sheer number of catchers in this class is so impressive.
Extremely deep as we take a look there at Reese McGuire behind the plate. This one fouled off at 88 miles an hour.
It's a position just like shortstop too. There's always a lot of speculation. A lot of catchers are going to move off from behind the plate. They'll go to first, they'll go to third, left, right field, wherever. shortstops will move to second to third to the outfield. But right now, these catchers are pretty special.
Breaking ball misses inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. As Richards moves out of the way of that one.
And Texas Orange has another catcher in addition to McGuire. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Nick Cufo. And he's looked pretty impressive as well, both behind the plate and at the plate as a hitter.
Sure, we've seen that a lot in the last game. The red team had a couple of prominent catchers as well, and Ronnie Healy and Zach Collins. And that's kind of been the theme throughout this showcase. And as we're finding out a little bit more about this class of 2013, catcher is extremely deep.
Yeah, Jerry Martinez went in the last game, just the list goes on, and we've already talked to a bunch of them from the first 6 teams that have already left the Metrodome.
Right, yeah, Chris Ogie had an absolute standout performance.
I thought Andrew Dunlap looked really good, too, at the plate.
And Carl Ellison in the first game today for the Royals. The list just goes on and on.
Yeah, that throw that Ellison made that's a big league throw right there. It was on the money, just right, exactly where it had to be, gunned down that runner.
And I'm sure we're leaving out a couple others that are very well deserving to be in this discussion, but that's just how deep it is this year.
And if we did leave your name off, send us a message. I was corresponding with 2 or 3 fathers last night after the game after I got back to my hotel room, and just in the hotel room sending them back. And
Balta thinks about going from first base. This one fouled off into the seats.
I had one, just kind of making a case for his son. Just want to say, hey, why didn't this guy get mentioned? And we're taking notes on everybody, and we're just, from the recap story, we're just kind of picking and choosing the stuff that stood out the most to us.
A lot of talent here in the Metrodome.
Be able to watch these broadcasts too. We've heard from a lot of people as well, just telling us that they're watching from afar. Rafael Palmeiro is watching his son Preston, and just again another long list. And the amount of homes and people that we've reached with this is pretty special, and we're pretty excited about that.
2-strike pitch. Balta's off on the pitch, and he's going to have that one stolen easily. No throw down to second. Fastball misses high at 87. So still 2 outs here in the bottom of the 3rd. Richards at the plate. Jelovic steps off and looks Balta back to second. The 3-2 pitch popped up into shallow center field. And coming in to make the catch is Jordan Getzelman for the 3rd out of the inning. Still no score. We go to the 4th.